Hello and welcome back to That Other Retro Guy, and to this video, which is the second and concluding part of my look at the not only the video game stores but also the movie stores of basically my childhood. I know this part's been a long time coming, but I'm here, I'm doing it, and yeah, this is this is actually going to be the second take of this. The first take I wasn't all that keen on. I just wasn't really feeling it. But this one is. Hopefully, it's going to turn out a lot better. So yeah, as I say, in the last episode, I spoke about various places that I used to buy computer games when I was a kid. And as I say, this episode is going to be the concluding part. And I'm going to be talking about places that I used to buy movies or rent movies out, or my family used to rent movies out when I was younger. And if you like this episode, I'll leave a link below to the last episode. Well, you'll be able to find it anyway, I'm sure. So yeah, without further ado, here is the concluding part. Now, the first place I'm actually going to talk about, what kick-started my love of movies off, is actually this place, my childhood home. My dad used to have, I don't know how many Betamax cassettes. We had the old Sanyo top-loading Betamax cassette recorder, and yeah, my dad had films like The Lost Tribe. I think there was what else was there? Oh, The Octagon, Breaker Breaker. Also had Rambo First Blood Part 2. But that wasn't until like it, later on, like literally near enough at the end of the Betamax's life. What else did we have? We had Life Force as well. The first two Missing in Action films. Loads of different cassettes, and I think the first ever cassette I watched was a recording of Star Wars off of ITV. Now, from what I can remember, I think it was the it was like the British terrestrial TV premiere. I'm certain it was, and yeah, it was only about 3 or 4, and that got me into films. It really did. And I remember afterwards as well, there was a cartoon on the end, and the name escapes me, but it was like I think it was 3 little kittens in a toy shop, and I loved it as a kid, absolutely loved it. And one of the films that we also had on Betamax, recorded off of ITV again, was Boys in Blue, the only film to star comedy duo of the the 70s and the 80s, Tommy Cannon and Bobby Ball. And it was essentially a remake of Will Hayes' Ask a Policeman from the 30s. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And little did I know that there was actually quite a bit cut out as well. In fact, I didn't know until I bought the DVD. I think it was like the early 2000s or mid to like, not the first decade of the 2000s. And I was like, wow, all that was cut out. But back then, I didn't know any better. And I really enjoyed it. I mean, I was, what, 4, 5, really enjoyed it. And then we were gifted a load of cassettes from someone. And one of them was Big Trouble in Little China. And another one was Star Trek 2, which was a TV recording again, and also a TV recording of the special longer version of Star Trek The Motion Picture, which I think I did mention in my video review of the 4K set. That would be the very first time I watched the film. And yeah, so basically the Betamax started me off. And it would also be the first place I would see Disney films. Like, I think the first two films I ever saw was Sword in the Stone and Robin Hood. And so those two will always be my favourite Disney films. And yes, so as I say, that would start me off on my movie journey. And we're going to move along to a town about 10 minutes away from here. It's about 8 miles. And it's Brentwood here in Essex. And basically there was a video shop, a video rental shop called Mr. Video. And I can't find, because we actually still had the membership card, and it was blue. I remember it. And basically the logo was, excuse me, the logo was a person with a VHS cassette for a head and hair on top of it. Pretty cool little logo. And if I get a chance to find the card, I'll take a photo and I'll add it to the video. But yeah, Mr. Video would be just one of the places that we would visit. But I still remember the inside of it. And it was literally the entrance was on the corner of the shop. And as you went in, on the left hand side you had a rack of tapes, that were protected from like sunlight and all this and the other. And then on the other window again you had see, my memory's a little bit conflicting about this. I can't remember if there was a rack of tapes there as well, or if it was standees. Something's telling me it was standees, the cardboard stands. And there was also a drinks fridge as well, right by the side of them. And then in front of that you also had the counter as well. And on the front of the counter, I remember this vividly because it used to freak me out a little bit. There was a poster for Day of the Dead on the front of the counter, and I remember it as well. It was a pretty cool poster looking back at it now. And yeah, it was a great store. Really was a great store. I mean, on the left hand side you had a wall of tapes going down. And then you had like another wall of tapes going down, so it was like a little walkway. And if I remember correctly, it used to go round kind of like that. It was only a small place, but he had a hell of a lot of stock. Hello, Duke. Finished? Thank you. Yeah, so, and if I remember correctly, I'm so sorry. If I remember correctly, he also had a TV with a film playing as well. And I do remember seeing, I'm certain it was either a poster or a cardboard standee of Life Force. It was one of the two. Something's telling me it was a cardboard standee. And yeah, on the counter there was a folder of other tapes that he could get a hold of. Not the mucky tapes, not those ones. But these were all like photocopied covers. I think it was like other tapes that he had like out the back. And I remember one of them was Kathy's Curse, which I watched recently on Blu-ray, and it was shite. I think I got halfway through it, and it just bored the hell out of me. Really did. Uh, I think another one was Doc Savage, Man of Bronze, I think it was. Soggy Bottom USA, and also from my memory, there was also one called Visitors from Beyond Space or Visitors from Beyond the Stars or something like that. Anyway, but I remember that the cover had a person on a table, and literally their head was hanging over the table, and literally drawn as though it was looking at the camera. You know, that kind of thing, like looking at you. You know, and yeah, I just remember Dad getting those tapes from him, you know, and it was a place that we used to frequent quite a bit, as I say, and it was a fun place. It really was. It was just literally, it was just amazing. You had that kind of not dingy atmosphere, but it was like how you would associate a proper independent video rental shop, you know, and it was just fantastic. But I think it was about the mid 90s, so I was in secondary school then. Um, Actually, no, I think it was before then. I think it was about 93. Um, it closed. It just closed, and I was sad. I was sad because it just it just reminded me. It just held so many memories for me, and that closing, it was like a blow. It really was. It was a proper blow, you know. And yeah, I never found out what happened to the guy's stock that he had. I don't know if he sold it off cheap or if he just disposed of it or what. But you know, when that shut down, it was sad. It really, really was sad because my dad got to know the bloke who run it quite well, you know. And yeah, it was just sad when that closed down. And yeah, it really was. But moving along to the actual high street, I say high street, you go from Mr. Video, you go all the way up that road to like uh, a mini roundabout, which takes you to Sainsbury's, but you carry on, you've got a double mini roundabout, you go right, you go all the way down to the traffic lights, and then when you turn left, there's like a couple of shops on the left, a little way down, and there used to be a second-hand entertainment shop. I used to sell records, cassettes, CDs, uh, DVDs, and VHS. Now, obviously, this was like in the infancy of Blu-ray, so they never had any Blu-rays in. It was just DVD and VHS. And I can never remember the name of it, but there was this sweet old lady who used to run it, and used to go in there literally. We went to Brentwood quite a bit, and she was, as I say, she was just the sweetest person ever, and used to go in there, have a look at the videotapes. I think one of them that I got out of there was the Blues Brothers. Yeah, Blues Brothers. And it was only like £1, you know. And this was when like video cassettes were literally everyone was getting rid of them, and they were so many around that people just couldn't get rid of them. So, of course, places like that were selling them dirt cheap as well as boot sales. But yeah, that was there for a few years as well. And it was literally, I remember it. The video cassettes and the DVDs were on the left hand side. You had records in the middle, you had records to the right and behind, and then in the corner you had CDs, and then on the wall behind where she sat, there was all cassettes in racks and that. And yeah, it was just a fantastic little bric-a-brac shop to go in. Again, I think it was, something tells me it was the mid 2000s, so it was about 2005, 2006. It just disappeared again. No idea where it went, no idea where she went. But that used to be another little haven for physical media. And yeah, it was just fantastic. It really was fantastic. But it just makes me sad that never found out what happened to the shop. But let's move that back. That's better. That's better. But now we're gonna come out of Brentwood and sort my hair out. There we go. We're gonna come out of Brentwood and we're gonna come back here, not to this place, but to the town, Chippenonga. Now, the first place I'm going to talk about was a place called 123 Video, and I literally only found this out recently. That the name never twigged. I thought it was just the name 123 Video, but it was actually the door number of the shop, 123 High Street, Chippenonga. I had no idea. I didn't even make that connection. That's why it was called 123 Video. And again, it was a small shop. You had a wide window, front door. That was it. And when you went in, my God, the amount of tapes that were in there. It was a video lover's wet dream. It really was. It was just so fantastic in there. You look to the left, there was tapes going all the way down. Now, bearing in mind, the town is old, so this shop is quite low down. You could just about stand up in it. All right, so bear that in mind. From the ceiling to the floor, tapes in those red display racks. There was also some on the wooden beams coming down. Standees in the window. Tapes going all the other way down as well. And there was also some racks in between the beams as well, like creating columns. And I remember about 2/3 of the way in the shop, there was a couple of steps that go down to where the guy had his counter. And there was a door that went out to the back that had the tapes and that. And that was another one where my dad became good friends with the guy that ran it. And there's one tape I do remember, and I can even remember the position as well. It was on the left hand side, right on the steps, about 3 up from the bottom, and it was for Zone Troopers, directed by Danny Bilson, and it had Tim Thomerson and Art LaFleur as well. And I remember the alien, it was like pointing, it's like, I want you. You know, that kind of like, for like the old US Army posters, I need you for the US Army, you know. And I never got to see that film until it was on Netflix a few years, I think it was about 8-9 years ago, so when I still had Netflix. And it was, I loved the film, and I wish I'd seen it earlier, you know. And just loved that place, just loved that rental shop. And I do remember he had a rack on the wall. So basically, when you looked at the counter, right? So as I'm looking at the camera now, from my point of view, the counter was there, the door was there, and the wall was there. So the entrance was here, right? So as I'm looking at you, right? I don't know, flip the image around, I suppose, or look at it from my point of view. So you had the new releases there, and he was only able to get one copy of each new release. But he always said to my dad, if there's any films that are coming out that you want to see, I'll put the cassette aside so you get it first. And again, nice guy, but I don't know where he went. Don't know where he went. Because that closed up, I think it was the mid 90s, you know. And it's a shame. It was a hell of a shame. Because it was an independent rental shop. And there was that independent feel, a bit like when you see an old 80s movie that's an independent movie, very low budget, and it has a certain feel to it, but you enjoy it anyway. That's what these shops had, and it was just fantastic to go in there, you know. But as I say, mid 90s, or even I think early, no, it was the mid 90s again, or it might even been late 90s. It it closed down. He was shutting up shop, which was a shame. But it's it was a great place to get films. Great place to get films. But moving up the high street a little bit, because that was basically when you go down Ongar, you've got the bottleneck about halfway down, and it was on the right hand side. So coming up from there on the left hand side, there was another rental shop. But this one, you could also buy films from him. And this was in the DVD era. So, I mean, like, when did Moulin Rouge come out? About 2003, I think it was. About 2003, 2004. It might have even been about 2002. I can't remember. But, yeah, he had games in there as well. And I even remember buying Moulin Rouge out of there. And also, I think it was the Alien Trilogy DVD set. And also the 2-disc DVD of The Mummy. And that was my first taste. No, sorry, it's my second taste of The Mummy. Second taste of The Mummy, because I actually bought it in Tesco on VHS, but I wanted to upgrade to the DVD. But yeah, that was a great little shop, and I became good friends with the owner, and if there was a film or a game that I was after, and he had it, he would sell it to me for a good price. It was to say, like, I think I bought Grand Theft Auto out of there for the PlayStation, or no, sorry, it was Bushido Blade, and it was about a tenner at the time. But he said you can have it for £7. So I was like, happy days. But I didn't get on with it, so I ended up selling it. I wish I never. But yeah, as I say, he would often do good deals for me as well on films and games. And sadly, I think it was he was only there for about 6-7 years, and he went as well. That shop went, and it became a shop selling windows. I don't know. But yeah, that was a good little place as well. Very good little place. But there was also one more. I've literally just remembered it. there was also one down the very bottom of the town as well, where you've got the two brewers on the at the back, like on the corner, going around as if you're going to go to Brentwood. You had this very small parade of shops, about 5 or 6, and one of them was turned into a video shop, and they used to sell videos in there dirt cheap. I mean, I'm talking about 2-3 quid a tape. Hello, Duke. And yeah, about 2-3 quid a tape. And I remember seeing a cassette in there for I Bought a Vampire Motorcycle, something like that anyway, with like Neil Morrissey. But that didn't last long either, and that went, sadly. But yeah, so we did have over the years quite a few VHS stores. And I'm so sorry you had to see that one of my cat's bottoms and where his trouble puffs used to be. I do apologise for that gratuitous nudity. Gratuitous feline nudity, sorry. But yeah, so anyway, moving on from there. Now, the thing is, there are many shops where I bought films from. And there were like many branches in like different places. So if I talk about one branch, it's going to be like, say, like in Harlow, it's going to be the same for places like Chelmsford or Romford or somewhere like that. You know, so I won't go to like too many places and say about the same things, you know. But going into Harlow, again, just like in the video for the games, there was a lot of places to buy movies. And the first place I'm going to start off is actually Tesco. Now, bearing in mind, Tesco in Harlow used to have 2 floors, and it used the downstairs used to be quite huge, and you used to have an escalator behind the deli counter in the back right hand corner going up. Okay. Now, same with Tesco in Epping. They used to have a small. Oh, hello, Fury. They used to have a small VHS section as well, and I bought many films out of there. I'm so sorry. When you have cats, they're inquisitive creatures. But yeah, in the Harlow store, the music and video was upstairs. Now, when you went up the Travelator, you were literally greeted, I think it was with clothes, women's clothes. So, when you look at it from the escalator, so you go up the escalator, you do a complete 180, right? So you're looking towards the front of the shop from the back. Okay. The right-hand side was always clothes. Women's, men's, kids, I think, in that order. On the left-hand side, you had homeware. So things like plates, knives and forks and shit like that. Then you had toys and then games, like board games and stuff like that. Then in the middle, on a circular counter, that was the music and video desk. And around it was music and video. So you could buy vinyls. And I think you could also buy cassette games in there as well. And you could also buy videotapes as well. But it was only like a small section. And I remember that pretty well. I really do. Everything was kept in like this carousel thing in the centre. I think they used to turn it round to open it up and stuff like that. But when they done the refurb upstairs, they actually put the music and video where the homeware used to be. And it was made much, much bigger. And I remember they had a big video screen as well, displaying trailers for films and for music CDs and stuff like that. And they had not only a video chart, but they carried a very small back catalogue section of VHS tapes. And I do remember one of the tapes being the Terminator 2 Special Edition in like the liquid colour, like the liquid metal colour cover. that kind of thing. Um, and I never picked it up, sadly. Never picked it up. But I do remember picking up Blown Away out of there, starring Jeff Bridges, Tommy Lee Jones, and Lloyd Bridges as well. And I remember having a damn good time with it. And I still do now, even with the 4K. Um, yeah, and I do remember when they were selling games in there that didn't have boxes. So it was basically if they couldn't find the box, or if the box had been stolen, um, they put the game and the instruction manual in like a kind of security plastic box and stick that out, and it would be knocked down cheap as hell. And I remember getting Mortal Kombat 2 on the Super Nintendo out of there. I think it was for about a tenner. So I was like, happy days. And I think they used to do the same with the VHS tapes as well. If the cassette cases weren't there, they used to just, I think, just put them in empty cassettes and have like a sleeve that they'd write the film name on and then put it inside. Or was that W.H. Smith? It was one of the two anyway. But eventually, they ended up getting rid of the upstairs section of Tesco, which was a damn shame. And then they brought the music and video downstairs to like a small compact section. And now, for the past 2 years, I think it is, they haven't sold any physical media whatsoever. And that is a damn shame. And it's the same with Sainsbury's. Every single Sainsbury's across the country now does not sell any physical media. And again, that is a damn shame, because they used to have such a good selection of movies and stuff like that. But then before they phased it out, the selection got so small it was like not worth having. I think Asda and I don't know if Morrison's do as well, but Asda seems to be the only one who seems to be carrying the torch for physical media, and it's great to see it. They've even started to sell stuff from Music Magpie in there, like DVDs for like £1, £2, CDs for £1, £2, so it's fantastic to see that. They still do games as well. But yeah, it's just a shame that Tesco don't do them no more. But what can I tell you? What can I tell you indeed? Moving into... Tell you what, moving up from Tesco in the Harvey Centre, upstairs, opposite Tesco, there was a place called Parrot Records. And I know this isn't to do with movies, but they used to sell music, just pure music. So records, CDs, tapes. I think they even used to sell T-shirts in there as well. And it was fantastic place. Absolutely fantastic place for any discerning music lover. The music was cheap as anything. Vinyl singles for like 75p. Vinyl albums for like £2, £3, CDs for like £7, £8, cassettes for £4. Now look at the price of vinyl in HMV, £30. Price of a CD is still about 10, £12, sometimes 15, 16. But Parrot Records used to be really, really good. But they didn't last well into the 90s. I think they only lasted until about the early 90s. And now it's just empty. It really is, and it's a damn shame. Real damn shame. Sticking with the Harvey Centre, you also had, what was that store? Now. That's it. It was called Now. And it was downstairs opposite Tesco. Because you had a Sainsbury's opposite Tesco. And in front of that, there was like a singular shop. And that became Now. And it was music and video. I was just interested in the movies. And they also occasionally sold games in there as well. Because I remember Mega Drive and Master System games being in there. But yeah, I used to love going in there every single weekend and seeing what films they had. And it was literally as you walked in, the counter was in front of you. You had a rack for, I think it was new release CDs. Then you had another rack there, which had games on one side and films on the other. And then you had another two racks literally lined up with the window, and that was all movies. And then another two racks behind for music. And that was a fantastic place, absolutely fantastic place. And it was in there that I bought Blade Runner on VHS after watching it one weekend. So I went and bought it the weekend after. And again, that was a fantastic place. Really loved going in there. And then they came out of there and they went into Little Walk, a smaller shop, but it was still great. Really was. Loved going in there. Then after that, they closed down. Again, a damn shame. But not as much of a shame as the next one, which is W.H. Smith. Again, I touched upon this briefly in the last video. But their music and video section was great. Absolutely great. No matter what branch you went into, be it Chelmsford, Brentwood, Harlow, Romford. They used to have a fantastic selection. Absolutely brilliant selection. In fact, I remember buying Death Warrant out of there. And that was the one that had all the sleeves that they used to write on and put in like empty cases to replace ones that got stolen. Of course, yes, it was W.H. Smith's. It was W.H. Smith's. I remember it now. And yeah, again, a fantastic selection of films and music and games, obviously. And then they got rid of it was like a bit that you walked through, as I said in the last video, a bit that you walked through and it opened up to like this huge music and video centre. But yeah, they then took away the music and video counter. They closed that up, and they basically had the tapes inside the cases. And when DVD came along, they had the DVDs inside the cases, and they put like little security stickers on them. Because I remember getting 2010 and Soldier out of there, because they were doing an offer at one time for 2 for $25 on Warner Brothers DVDs, and they were in like the original snapper, plastic snapper cases with the cardboard. But eventually, when they decided to put the post office in all the W.H. Smiths, they got rid of the music and video. And it was sad. Really, really was sad, because they did have a great selection of films in there at one point, and music, and obviously games. In fact, I think you can see where I'm going with a lot of this at the end. Especially, I'm going to do a small, say this small bit about our price. It was essentially the same as Parrot Records, but they used to have on the left hand side a little station with like headphones, and they used to put samples of albums in there, so you could basically sample what albums were out or what singles were out. And they used to at one point as well sell games as well, and that again was another fantastic place. But sadly, you know what I'm going to say, so I'm not even going to bother. But there was one other place as well. One other place. And it was a place called Powerhouse, which was across from Little Walk, but down a few shops towards what used to be the market. And that was primarily just for films. Just for films. And I'm going to put a little bit of light on. That's better. You can see my ugly face now. Yeah, it used to be just. Sorry about that. Yeah, it used to be just for films, and the selection of films that they had in there was absolutely banging. It really, really was. But you used to go in, you'd have a wide rack in the middle going down with a little cut through in the middle. The left hand side used to be for halfway down or a quarter way down, sorry, used to be for music videos. Then you had TV. Then on the right hand side, you had a little bit like a kind of like alcove, and there used to be films in there, and they used to go all the way down as well, right the way to the counter, which used to sit along the back. And it was in there that I actually saw a copy of Logan's Run on VHS, and it was like £4 or £5, and I wish I'd picked it up, because now people on eBay want silly money for it, because VHS is probably going to go exactly the same way as vinyl. The prices are just going to shoot up, especially as companies are bringing out select films on VHS, like Evil Dead 2, Texas Chainsaw Massacre in the US, and it was a fantastic place. And I remember buying Escape from New York out of there, $5.99. It was a brand new re-release, and it was a widescreen edition, released by BMG Video, I do believe. But yeah, that was another fantastic place. And I remember they always used to they had a couple of TVs. One would have music videos playing, and one would have a TV show playing, and then they'd have on the wall, I think it was like Now playing with like a cassette box to show you what was playing. And it was another great little place that sadly bit the dust. I want to say early 2000s. I can't even find photos of any of the places. It's like when I was trying to research for like photos that I could use in this video, just to show you what the places look like, I couldn't find any whatsoever. And I was going to try and do filming, but when I tried, I wasn't able to. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I wasn't able to, because people just kept getting in the way, and you know how people can be as well. Like, they'll look at you as if to say, "What the fucking hell are you doing, you absolute weirdo?" But yeah, so that was that for Powerhouse. But then you also had the market. The excellent market that they used to have. And the various stalls. I think there was a video stall on there and a music stall on that. And there was even one on Northwood Market as well. And I remember he had tapes, 3 for a tenner. And I ended up getting some good titles off of there as well. The names elude me at the moment, but there was another guy as well, and I remember it very, very well. And it was on the last aisle of the market. Now, if I'll tell you what, if you know Northwood Market at all, anyone who's been to Essex, anyone who's been to Northwood Market back in the day, you'll know whereabouts I mean. It used to be 4 aisles, well, 8 technically, if you count the cut through in the middle. And it would be at the back on the right hand side, and it was all undercover. And this guy used to have boxes and boxes and boxes of tapes. He'd have about 2 or 3 copies of each tape. And I remember for my birthday one year, I think it was about 92, 93, might have even been 1991. For my birthday one year, for my birthday one year, he done 2 for £8. So I ended up getting the Terminator and the Running Man as well, which, you know. But I ended up taking the Terminator back because it had no sound. So I swapped it for another copy. Yeah, I ended up swapping it for another copy. Exactly the same issue. So I was like, for crying out loud, I'm not taking it back again. But luckily, the following week, BBC Two were playing it. And it was going to be the first time played on BBC television completely uncut. So no edits for violence or whatever. They were going to play it all the way through. So I was like, right, this is my chance. Popped a bit of tape over the tab hole. Got it to just after I think it was the Virgin Video logo. Pressed record and pause, and as soon as it started, I pressed record. Managed to turn off the on-screen display for the video as well, because it normally used to come up 6, the time and the date of like the recording. So I managed to take off the timestamp. And little did I know, it was going to be a widescreen. So I had a widescreen copy, which was fantastic. And there was no voiceover over the credits. It was absolutely brilliant. I couldn't have worked it any better. But sadly, I no longer have that version. I've got a version of the Terminator, but I no longer have that version, which is sad, you know. But yeah, now all we've got for physical media, as I say, is Asda, HMV, and CEX. Maybe some places scattered here and there. But as you all know, I'm a huge advocate for physical media. And that is the reason why. I grew up with video cassettes. I started watching movies when I was about 3 or 4 years old. You know, Star Wars was my very first film. You know, which is why, in part, I love sci-fi, and also because of my dad as well. And it's because of him I've got a huge love for film. You know, and a huge love for physical media. You know, it shaped my tastes today. I mean, in the 80s, or even, sorry, in the early 2000s, when I was just turning 20, you know, yeah, I was watching films like Judge Dredd. I was watching comedy films like Dumb and Dumber. But I would never have tried films like Suspiria, which I must admit, I didn't like at all. I got half hour in, I turned it off. Bored to fucking tears. You know, I would never have seen films like Deadly Friend. You know, I wouldn't have watched stuff like this. I would have stayed primarily with just action, comedy and science fiction. I wouldn't have watched horror. You know, would never have watched horror whatsoever. But now as I'm older, my tastes have broadened. You know, and yeah, saying that, maybe obviously watching Evil Dead 2, I loved it. You know, I mean, I watched Hellraiser with my dad. He had the VHS. I watched it with him and I loved it. You know, but I wasn't a lover of horror films. You know, as I say, that wouldn't come till later. I mean, my dad even had Phantasm on VHS. You know, the one with like the woman holding her hands over her eyes and the eyes are actually on the outsides of her hands. He had that cassette, which I wish I still had. You know, but as I say, it's because of him and video stores is why I love movies so much. And I love physical media. You know, it's it's fantastic to have films on cassette or disc, you know. Do I like streaming services? I used to have them, not anymore, because they promised a lot, then they went back on it. So I got rid of them. And now I'm just solely physical media. Though if there's a film I want to watch and it's on Sky, I'll record it on Sky, I'll watch it. If I like it enough, I'll go and buy it. If I like it enough just to watch it on TV, not that fussed about owning it, then that's fine. I've not wasted no money by doing a blind buy like I did with Suspiria. But because I liked Deep Red, I wanted to try it. I didn't like it. But yeah, and I'm sure that my story is the same as everyone else's for movies and physical media. Getting into it because of their parents, going to video stores, watching films on TV, watching films on recorded cassette off the TV, like I did with The Goonies. That was my first taste of The Goonies, a recording off of ITV, which was cut for the swearing, you know. But I lapped it up, absolutely lapped it up. Gremlins we had on Betamax in the original Warner Brothers, Warner Home Video blister cases, the ones that if you even so much as looked at it, you would get a cut on your finger. That sharp. We had National Lampoon's Vacation. We had Deal of the Century with Chevy Chase. Little Drummer Girl. Wildcats with Goldie Hawn. We even had Police Academy 2, which was my first taste of the Police Academy films, and it became my favourite of the series because it was the one I watched first, and that was when I was about 6, 7 years old. I might have even been 5. Hang on, when did it come out? 84. So it would have come out on video. No, 84 was the first one. 85 was the second one. So it would have come out on video in about 87, roughly. But yeah. No, it would have come out on 86, sorry. So I'm working them out wrong. It was released in 85, video in 86. So yeah, that's how we got it. And yeah, as I say, that's why I love movies so much. And that's why remembering all the video stores, it just holds a lot of memories for me. I mean, I still remember after they remodeled Staple Tie in Harlow, one of the big shops on the very end, on the right hand side end, ended up becoming a Blockbuster Video, and we ended up becoming a member of that. And we would go in there every so often, and I'd buy tapes out of there. I remember buying Stargate X rental for $7.99. Absolutely loved it. First time I ever watched it. First time we'd all ever watched it, and we loved it. We loved it. Robot Wars for $2.99. Done by who was it? It was released by Paramount, but it was done by Full Moon Features. Charles Band's Full Moon Features, and it was on for about 65 minutes, so it wasn't overly long. But for £3, I wasn't going to say no because I'd loved Robot Jox, so I ended up buying it. Batman vs. Robin. I was younger, I was a lot more stupid. I liked it at the time. Now, I would rather shave my testicles, dip them in honey, and let bears have at them. It's awful. I can't stand the film now. But yeah, Blockbuster used to be one of my haunts, and when they transitioned over to DVDs, it was sad because they were going to get they were getting rid of all their VHS dirt cheap. And I do remember I bought near enough every single Star Trek The Next Generation tape out of there, and it was like 99p, and there was like 2 episodes per tape. So I bought a bulk load of the cassettes, and I have no idea where they went. I think I might have just got rid of them, which was a shame because I had near enough every single episode. And yeah, again, it's another place that's bit the dust, apart from the one left standing in America, you know. And to them, keeping the video rental store alive, you know what? They not only have my respect, but my undying gratitude, because they're still flying the flag for physical media. You know, same as HMV. Yeah, it might be smaller than before. Now they're selling tat, like figures and stuff like that. But they're still selling physical media, be it music or movies, TV shows, documentaries. They're still flying the flag. For that, they will always have my respect and gratitude. Anywhere that sells movies still brand new, you know, as I say, they're flying the flag for physical media. Hopefully we'll still have physical media in about 10-15 years time, you know. I mean, I've heard people turn around and say that they've gone back to physical media because of the prices going up on streaming sites. So, but that is for a whole other conversation. But yeah, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, talking about and reminiscing about memories and places and stuff like that. You know, it's remembering stuff like that makes me smile. It makes me sad as well because we'll never see places like that again. You know, and I think that's something that we need to keep alive. So, but anyway, thank you very much for tuning in. Yeah, I forgot where I was now. Oh yeah, thank you very much for tuning in. Stay safe, stay well, and as I say, be nice to one another. There's too much shit in the world. Let's just make each other's lives a bit better than it is. And I'll see you in the next video. So until then, it's goodbye from another retro guy. Take care.